morning and welcome, my fellow CAs, farm members, my friends. My name is Ho, and before this presentation has finished, I will promise you two things. You understand that soil nutrition does not equate to plant nutrition. And the second thing is, knowing how to use fertilizer is an art. A little bit of background. So I did my degree in Taiwan, and then I went on to work in Taiwan's #1 agricultural company, but in their China branch. I was working with specialty fertilizers, meaning any fertilizers that are not NPK. Everything else was under me. And now I'm a sales manager in Serilla, Malaysia. So I'm also selling specialty fertilizers. The only difference is I used to work in the office, and now I work in the field. I like to call myself the underground arborist because I focus a lot on soils and roots. And these are the roots of Musang King. So here are 3 stumps for 3 Musang King trees. Now back to our topic, a guide to soil and plant nutrition. What is plant nutrition? Around 200 years ago, a German scientist with the name of Justus von Liebig had this revolutionary idea. What if what plants needed was minerals? And with 200 years, fast forward 200 years, we came to today, we came to the conclusion of there are 16 essential elements that plants need, and these are their optimum absorption rates under different pH. And scientists are still furthering this research on other elements, beneficial elements, other trace elements, or rare earth elements, the unknown. And we are still progressing further. So this is soil nutrition. This is plant nutrition. But what is soil nutrition? What do we mean when we say feed the plants and feed the soil? We can look at soil nutrition from 3 different aspects: the biological, the chemical, and the physical. The biological is simple: the beetles, the earthworms, the bacteria, the fungi. The chemical aspects is the nutrients inside, so the parent materials of the rock, all the chemicals inside, and the physical, the soil structure, the soil aggregation. But the thing is, most common soil amendments in the market, they usually focus on either 1 or 2 aspects of these. But when combined together, you get other things. There is an interaction between all biological, chemical, and physical aspects. And is there something that can affect all 3 aspects of the soil? I would like you to focus on, these are some common soil amendments you can find in the market. And I would like you to focus on these 2, compost and humic acids. These are some of the examples that can affect all 3 aspects of the soil. Now, why compost and why humic acids? Let's take a step back. What is the main difference between animals and plants from a cellular components perspective? What does plants have but animals don't have in a cellular level? A cell wall, yes, thank you. Now, what is the main difference between plants and trees from a chemical components perspective? Yes, exactly. Can you say that?
Lignin.
Yes, lignin. Plants have cellulose hemicellulose, and trees has one more component, lignin. So why is lignin important? Let's have a look at lignin. So this is the structure of lignin. All the circles up there you see is 1 unit of sugar. So it can be either a glucose, a fructose, a galactose. So that is a monosaccharide. When you combine them, now you have 2 sugars, 2 units of sugars. You get a disaccharide. It can be a maltose, a sucrose, a lactose. And you combine them even more sugars, more units of sugars, and you get a polysaccharide, complex sugars. Now you get a huge complex carbon structure. Why is this important? This is an example. This is a structure of humic acid. We'll compare them side by side. Now you can see that humic acids are much larger and much more complex in their structure. When we are comparing humic acids and lignin. Now, why is this important? Different degrees of carbon structure will get you different degrees of how they will be maintained in the structure. In the soil. So the more complex the carbon structure is, the longer they will maintain their function within the soil. So if you have, let's say, starch, the most basic example of starch would be bread, roti. We put a slice of bread on the table, and within 2 days, the bread will get moldy, which means that it has started decomposition. The bread is starting to rot. So if we are putting starch inside the soil, it will rot immediately. So that is an example of a 5-day carbon. So you want something that can stay in the soil and maintain their function longer. So you will need something, maybe lignin-based or humic acids. These are some of the examples of the products that we sell in Cerealia. And Jay, I would like you to help me do an experiment. No need. I'll bring to you. So inside this jar is some of the samples I brought for humic acids and the soil boost. Jay, can you take any tree granules, any tree, and put them here inside? I won't look. Choose any tree you like.
You mean the tree?
Any tree granules from here. 3 biji and masuk sini.
You mean just any?
Any tree. Pick any tree.
Any numbers like?
No. Just 3 biji.
Wow.
3 biji saja.
That's
Very, very small. Yes. Can you show everybody else?
Yes, this like a. Very small.
Okay, very small, okay? Just throw inside the mineral water. And that's it. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Never mind. We'll come back to this later. You might need to wipe your hands.
Yes.
Now, why are humic acids good for us? What are the benefits of humic acid in soil? These are some of the benefits, but I would like to give you a visual idea of what humic acid does in soil. On your right, these are 2 identical soils. The only difference is, at the right, we added some humic acid. So you can see that the soil would maintain their structure. The structure is still intact, the soil structure. And on your left, the soil structure has collapsed. This is a very important concept. Unhealthy soils collapses when submerged in water. This is a very important concept. Now let's look at the other benefit. On the right is the soil with humic acids, and on the left, without. So you can see very heavy leaching. So what happens here is, when you are applying fertilizers, because the soil is leaching so much, you need to put more fertilizers, you need to spend more money. Your trees are not getting your fertilizer, and all the fertilizer is leaching out into the water, into the ponds, and you get eutrophication, algae bloom. So this is a lose, lose, lose situation. This is one of the examples we did. This is a desert in China. This is a real desert. Nothing would grow if there was no watering pipes beneath the soil. And they are planting watermelon here. So we did a trial over here. And do you see the difference? Much, much more leaf growth. Much more better growth. On the left, without, and on the right, with humic acids. Is this more obvious? Now, we come back to this concept. Unhealthy soils collapses underwater when submerged in water. So this guy is Ray Archuleta. He's an agronomist from USDA, US Department of Agriculture. And what he did was, he took two soils from farms that are next to each other. So one farm at the left and one farm at the right. On the left, the farm is not well managed. They don't take care of their soils. And on the right, they do. So by definition, these are the exact same soils, just under different management. And this is what you get. Very clear soils when submerged in water, and unhealthy soils that collapses by itself. Now what does this mean? When we think of our rivers, the rivers in Malaysia flowing out, what are the colors of the river? Is it very clear? Now you know that those are the state of our soils. And that is also a trick that I use when I go to do farm visits. I walk into the farm and I see the water flowing out. If it's clear, I think, oh no, I cannot do business here. But it's very murky, I know that I can find the boss and say, boss, you need to buy something from me. Now what does all of this mean? We know that the more complex the carbon structure is, the longer it will maintain function in the soil. But there are so many types of organic fertilizers, compost. Let's say we are using chicken dung. Chicken dung is, the raw material is chicken dung. And they are mostly composed of protein, amino acids. If we are putting protein and amino acids into the soil, would they last for more than 5 days or more than 5 months? Very likely no. So chicken dung should not be called a soil amendment. It is a plant nutrition, but it is not a soil amendment. If you want the organic fertilizers to be called a soil amendment, it should stay in the soil for more than 5 years. You should go for plant-based fertilizers. Best if lignin-based fertilizers. Or if you want it to stay within the soil for more than 50 years or 500 years, you could choose us, humic acids, such as this. Only 3 granules. Now, are microbes fertilizers? The definition of fertilizers is it can provide nutrition to the plants directly. So by that definition, microbes does not fit the narrative. But recent research has indicated otherwise. So this is a picture took in our lab. So what we did is we gave it very small amounts of microbes. So you can see that the root mass here has grown maybe 100-fold. Much more stronger root growth. Now, these are the microbes we added. Now, what about in the field? You also see they exhibit very strong lower part growth and very strong upper part growth. This is paddy on the right, we added, on the left we didn't. And also this one. This photo I took by myself. These are wheat seeds. We also see the same thing, stronger root growth, stronger upper part growth. But there's one more thing. They are much more uniform. So this is a very important aspect, because if you are managing a large area of crops, you want them to grow uniformly. They're much more easier to manage. Now, why are microbes good for you or good for the plants? It all boils down to food. Parasitism means the microbes are eating the pathogens. They are using the pathogens as food. Competition means they are eating the same food as your pathogens. And amensalism means they are making sure that the pathogens cannot get food. So microbes got to eat. And these are some examples of how trichoderma are eating up the rhizotonia and pythium. Those two are pathogens. Now we have established this. When we have good soils and we have strong roots, we have very healthy plants. This is a soil profile that we did in Gua Musang for a 500-acre Musang King orchard. And what we concluded by this soil profile is the trees will do relatively well during rainy season. They will flower quite easily. The fruits will be more on the sweeter side, not the bitter side. So you cannot get Marburg durian. And he will very likely have a lot of problems with Phytophthora. That was one of the trees we were asked to treat. But most trees were at the back, the trees at the back. So this is an outlier. Now, why foliar fertilizers? Foliar fertilizers have a very high absorption rate, usually more than 85% or can be up to 95%. Whereas the usual fertilizers that we spray on the ground, those have an absorption rate of maybe around 10 to 15%. So foliar fertilizers have a very high rate of absorption. And this photo was not taken by me, it was taken by the 500-acre Musang King orchard. We gave him two different types of calcium boron fertilizer. So on the left and on the right, Simica and Sequoia is ours. And he went out and bought a third company, another company's calcium boron fertilizer. And he did this comparison and sent it to us. So I can say that he's getting his money's back worth buying from us. These are some of the other products that we supply. But I would like to give you some examples in the field. We did this in Cameron Highland. This is an organic, this is a zero pesticide farm, zero pesticide in Melaka. So we work with all sorts of growers, whether you are organic or non-organic, pesticide-free or pesticide, or large-scale or small-scale farms. We work with a lot of different customers. And we hope all of our durian customers can have an abundant harvest. This is a controversial issue. Is moss a bad thing on your trees? For urban trees, not really. It's not really a bad thing. But for orchards, they would be. In time, the moss will grow thicker, they will attract insects, and when this moss changes color, it will be similar to an algae bloom. They will secrete toxins that will damage the trees. So for all our fruit growers, we encourage them to clean up this moss maybe once or maybe twice a year. Now, what is the best fertilizer? Is it this fertilizer, 100% water-soluble fertilizer that is being offered by us? Now, this is a great fertilizer, but what is the best fertilizer? The one that you need and you can absorb. So these are two different concepts. What you need is by the law of minimum, and what you can absorb is the bioavailability. Let's say I'm hungry. I cannot go to Tesco or Eon and buy a sack of rice. Because I'm hungry right now, I cannot eat uncooked rice. I need the rice to be cooked. So that is the idea, the concept behind the need and the bioavailability. So this is an example of the law of the minimum. So let's say if you need nitrogen, but you are giving it potassium, it does not work that way. The plants will still need nitrogen. What about bioavailability? Now this gets tricky. Here are three common forms of nitrogen. Three common forms of nitrogen in most nitrogen fertilizers. The nitrate, the ammonium, the urea. What are their differences? They have charges. So the nitrate is negatively charged, the ammonium is positively charged, and the urea has no charge. There's another concept here. Soils are negatively charged. Plants are also negatively charged. So let's say you are planting paddy, you're planting rice. The soils are negatively charged, your paddy is negatively charged, and you are using nitrate. Where would all those nitrate go? All those nitrate would just leach away. So you will need ammonium fertilizers when you are growing paddy. But do we want nitrate fertilizers? Of course we do. Everyone likes crunchy, thick, sweet vegetables. And if you want that, you need nitrate. What about urea? Urea is the cheapest form of nitrogen out there. But if you use too much of it, your vegetables would taste bitter. So that is the taste problem. What about the physiologically acidic? What does it mean? It means that when the plants take up ammonium, the soil becomes acidic. That is what we mean by physiologically acidic. And if the plants take up nitrate, the soil becomes alkaline. So that is what we call physiologically alkaline. So what happens here is the different uptakes of different nutrition will affect the soil pH. And the soil pH will affect all your absorption rates of all your elements. So it is a dance within the elements. It is an art. Now there's a lot of information there. So let's take a moment, rest for a bit. Look at some beautiful durian flowers. Now, I would like to ask this question. Is there any way that we can manage trees so it is short, very short trees, but still very healthy? Usually this is done by using hormones, by using P333s, paclobutrazole, because it will inhibit your gibberellic acids. But what you get is a dwarf plant, a stunted plant. We actually did this experiment once. And what we got was a very short plant, but with giant leaves. Very big, very healthy leaves. But it came at a very high cost. For conclusions, soil nutrition does not equate to plant nutrition, and different soils have different qualities, which will have different effect on your trees. And we should know the bioavailability of nutrients and the needs of our trees. And fertilizer science is an art. Now, with all that being said, I will now take your orders. Questions?
How do you establish is there a particular test that you do to establish the delinquents of a particular nutrient in the soil?
Is there a test that we do to see if there is a deficiency in the soil? I can say that we don't really do that, but we do it by visual.
Seeing the plants and trees.
Yes, because they are symptoms. They are visual symptoms you can use. So let's say if you are seeing a plant that is, the leaves are yellow. Now you will need to see that, are the leaves yellow at the younger leaves or the older leaves? Or is it throughout the whole plant? So if it's only at the older leaves, it will be likely nitrogen. But if it's at the young leaves, it will probably be sulfur. Yeah, but if it's throughout the whole plant, it could be iron. So we don't just look at one single plant. We look at all the plants, everything around. So we want to get an idea of what's going on. Doing a soil test is actually very good, and we should do it, but it's also very expensive. It is not a cost that most growers could afford.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Is there a special kit that we can use, assuming that we do a particular test at the range of 1 square meter? We can take the readings.
Not very accurate. Yeah, most of these field tests are not accurate.
Some gadgets that effect.
They are, yes, they are. They are being sold in the market.
Not effective.
It's not effective. It's the range is just too huge.
It's not accurate reading.
Yes, not accurate at all. Let's say you get a reading of.
Not accurate at all.
Let's say you are getting a reading of 100, but your plus minus could be 200. So the reading does not make sense at all.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes. I beg your pardon? Huh? Uh-huh. It's carbon. Humic acid is a carbon structure. Oh, we extracted it. This is a mineralized humic acid. From Mongolia. Yes. Yes. From under the ground. Yes. They mine it. Yes, they mine it and extract it. I beg your pardon? Actually, humic acids are found throughout the world. So the thing about humic acids is everybody has it. Everybody has it. It's just different grade of humic acids. There are a lot of grades of humic acids. And some, the lowest grade, we just burn it. It's coal. All of these are carbon that we mine out of the ground.
So you want from Mongolia?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Is it applied to forest plantation?
Is our products applied to forest plantation?
But yeah, it seems like your budget or advisor macam banyak try dekat durian.
Yes, because most of our customers are durian customers or fruit growers. But if you want to use for forest plantation, of course, you can. But is it cost effective for you? If you think it's cost effective, then of course, it's good for you.